Good morning. Today is the 15th of Kislev, the 28th of November. And we finished the bottom here. Yes. We talked a little bit last time about encompassing light, the Ora Makif, which is equalizing. It's the great equalizer. It makes everything the same. And so the usual explanation is that when we look at the physical world, everything is sustained equally. It's not like we suddenly see gaps in the existence of tables, chairs, people, what have you. They're all equally here. It's not like static in a radio. Like some channels are better, some stations are better. It's not like that. Everything is equally here. And that's why we say that all of physical existence, it really is sustained through the channel of the encompassing light. ולזה היה ירידת הנפש בגוף לקיים תורה ומצוות. Why? So remember we asked, our first introduction was, what is the importance of Torah and mitzvahs? That for this, the soul would come down and be embodied. What's the great benefit? So now he finally gives us an answer. He says, לזה היה ירידת הנפש בגוף. This was the reason that the soul came down into the body in order to perform the mitzvos, the commandments. שעל ידי זה נמשך גילוי אלוקותו יתברך משתי בחינות הנ"ל דסובב וממלא. Because this is the only way that both aspects of godliness can be revealed at the same time. Only if there's a soul within the body. The body, as we said, it comes from the encompassing light, from God's unlimited aspect. And the soul comes from His limited aspect. So only when you put them together can you really have both aspects of God, as far as we understand, both aspects of God revealed in the same package. The body and the soul together.
Right, doesn't an animal do the same thing?
Yes, also,
Okay,
but it can't do mitzvahs.
Right, yeah.
No,
but right, they don't do, right, but they embody the same
right.
light.
That's a whole topic in and of itself.
Yeah.
How much of what the animal has is just body, and how much of it is actually what we call integrated inner light?
Yeah.
And the answer is very little, if at all, because we understand that the animal, what we call psyche, does not exist there. It doesn't have the same things that we have. Let's give a simple example, trauma. So animals don't suffer trauma. How is that possible? Why don't they suffer from trauma? So apparently their bodies are built in such a way that even if something negative happens to them, they shake it off, literally. They literally shake it off.
Yeah, pain.
Yeah, pain, but pain's a bodily function.
It's not a psychic.
Right. It's not like they have pain and they're going, oh my God, my toothaches. They don't do that
It's reflective.
because they have no self-reflection. So the moment that you don't have self-reflection, it's very hard to say that you actually have any kind of integrated light. So a human being is different in that respect. The level, it's not that we don't have an animal soul, we also have an animal soul which is responsible for all our physical activity, but at the very autonomous physical level. The moment you get into anything that requires any kind of thought, any kind of will, there we're completely different from animals. And the most important thing is we can be commanded. Meaning, in other words, it's two different things.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can also command animals and you can teach them to relate to animals.
Right, but they don't do it out of their will. They'll do it because there's a reward at the end. There's something there's a reason for them to do it. כי גם הסובב, אף על פי שהוא מקיף ונעלם עם כל זה על ידי המצוות, יכול להיות נמשך. This is the main thrust of this whole argument. That if we didn't have a physical body that could perform the mitzvot, then we wouldn't have the ability to reveal God's encompassing unlimited light. The soul has to have a body. This is what it wants to say. The way the soul was just in its life before it was embodied, it could only reflect and reveal and appreciate God's limited aspect, which is his inner light, what we call the inner light, the inner revelation. Again, we said it's a little confusing at first, but again, the idea that it's inner means that it is integrated into it, meaning the soul, when it understands a verse, for instance, we don't say, the soul did the verse. You can't, which is also something very strange. People say, I guess it's because of the French, maybe it's the same way in Russian. I don't know what languages it's like this. In Yiddish it is this way. Did you do Ma'ariv? What do you mean do Ma'ariv? You can't do Ma'ariv. You can't do a prayer. You have to say a prayer. It has to be something that is an action. It's not an action. It has to be, you can't do it. You have to, if you don't mean it, so what do they mean? They mean, did you say it? And saying is like just an action that doesn't have maybe a reflection inside, doesn't have any way that it's that it appears inside in some way of understanding, of meaning, whatever. Because I did it because I said it. So that is only action. That's not understanding. The soul. Imagine you didn't have a body. Does the soul daven every night? Yes, it does. Even if you don't daven yourself, even if you yourself don't go to say Ma'ariv, the soul is doing that. And it has to be doing that because that's its essence. Its essence is being a part of God. So when it goes up at night, if you didn't say Ma'ariv, it says Ma'ariv now.
So really the soul is the same thing here or there.
Right.
Meaning, okay, and
right.
It is limited light.
Right. And the reason we call it limited is because it has to be contained within something. And something that is infinite cannot be contained. So when I say understanding, when I say I had intent, all these things, they indicate that the soul, the psyche, the spiritual side of who I am, had a meeting with this thing. And for it to have a meeting, it means it has to be integrated into it. It has to be interiorized. It can't remain like if I just internalized. Thank you. I don't know why I said that. My soul can look at this book like this, and wow, okay. And there's no meaning. There's absolutely no meaning. I can say, yeah. No, if I don't read it and I don't understand it, I have not internalized it. I have had no meeting with it. What I'm saying is my eyes have had a meeting with it. That's very nice. They saw the letters, they saw the pretty writing, whatever. That's not internalized light. That is not an internalized revelation of God. So this is the revelation of God here is not the paper, it's not the pages, it's not the ink, it's none of these things. It's what's being transmitted through the letters and through the ink and through the pages. So that is inner light. That's what the soul understands. And we call that limited because it has to be contained within a vessel. But when I do something, I don't have to internalize this tzedakah box in order to lift it. I don't have to have any... So someone might say, I need an internal representation, otherwise my body can't function. That internal representation is not directly related to my interaction with it. It just means that I need an internal representation in order to be able to manipulate it with my fingers and so on. But I don't have to have an internal representation when I put my hand on I know I'm putting it here, but I'm also having an interaction with it, even if I don't understand what in the world I'm touching. That is the external light. That is the external revelation of godliness, which is sustaining the physical reality, physical world. Okay. שעניין חיות זה המקיף את כל העולמות הוא רצונו הפשוט יתברך יובן שם באורך. He says, as we explained elsewhere in length, that what we call the makif, what we call the encompassing light, the encompassing, I keep saying light, but because that's how I'm used to calling it. But again, anytime I say light, I mean God's revelation. Something being revealed is called light in Kabbalah. So his encompassing revelation that encompasses, which is his simple will to encompass everything, to be around everything, to sustain everything. והגילוי שמהאור הפנימי על ידי התורה הוא סוד הגן עדן. And what we mean when we say internalized revelation, that is the same thing as Torah, and it's the same thing as Gan Eden. These are all the same. You say internalized light, you say Torah, you say Gan Eden, Garden of Eden, the paradise are all the same. There's just different forms of the same revelation. There's a revelation that is in the Torah. In other words, anytime a person is learning Torah, you should know that they're in Gan Eden. That's where they are. That's where you are right now, because that's what you're soaking up. On the other hand, you're reading Moby Dick. No, you're not. No. It might be an inkling, of it, but that's not paradise. Okay. והגילוי שמאור פנימי על ידי התורה הוא סוד הגן עדן, והגילוי האור מקיף הנ"ל הוא לעתיד לבוא בלבד. But as we said, when we talked about the divergence of Kabbalah from philosophy, what we call the encompassing light will only be revealed in the future. In other words, it is functioning right now, because otherwise this stucco box wouldn't be here. Yeah. But I can't see it. I don't see anything. I don't feel anything. Do I not feel anything? I feel the stucco box. But I don't feel that this is being created somehow by God. I don't feel the connection. The connection is gone. It's like somehow there's this gap between the encompassing light when it comes down and somehow when it appears as a stucco box. There's a gap. I don't see the connection. Same thing in myself. Here's my body. I understand that there's no way this thing can be sustained continuously if God was not sustaining it, but I don't see it. I don't feel it. On the other hand, when you're talking about internalized light, there is a consciousness and there is a feeling, an experience that this is coming from God. How do I know? Because we just said, Moby Dick does not cause me to be in paradise, and Torah does cause me to. I see the connection. I see the direct connection. Let's say someone studies Torah in university and decided that Torah was not given by God. It's something that human beings created. As far as their experience is concerned, that statement, "it didn't come from God," is almost meaningless. Almost meaningless. Why? Because what do you expect will happen when you learn Torah that will be different from other things? You expect it to be very rewarding, very deep, and hopefully, if you do something with it, you will become more of a person who internalizes godliness. Now, if you study it and you believe in that, and you study it and you don't believe in that, it's almost guaranteed to happen anyway. That's why the sages say that even if people don't keep Torah, but they learn the Torah, hama'ol sheba machziran lemutav, the light within it, the source of light within it, will return them to good. Meaning it'll bring them back to godliness. Why? Because they're internalizing godliness anyway, whether they like it or not.
A lot of Rishonim.
So he keeps saying, this thing that I feel inside, it's meaningless. Okay, so say it's meaningless.
In other words, there's a certain contradiction. In other words, you take a koifer,
right?
He gets worse, not better.
Who said?
In the next row over here.
Even here.
Oh, they get worse. I've known before. They get worse and worse and worse. Look at the reform.
Why? Why does he have to get worse? Because he's battling something on the inside that keeps telling him that what you are studying, what this material is, this is godliness. Now you want to keep saying it's not, it's invented. So you have to keep, you're raising the stakes every time you learn another pasuk. It's becoming harder and harder for you to deny what you're experiencing.
I see what you're saying.
He's experiencing it. What can you do? The moment you learn
That's why
it,
they get stubborn and stubborn.
Right. Okay. And in the end, you're right. I mean, when a person denies, let's say a person loves someone, and they deny that love, whatever. I mean, I can imagine this when I was 20. I had maybe a romantic love, and he has a romantic love, and he denies it. It doesn't go away just because he denied it. It only goes away if you stop engaging with the object of the love. Yes. And then it goes away. So same thing, if they're learning it, what can they do? They're stuck in it. It's stuck inside them. They can't. That's what the sages call hama'ol sheba machziram lemutav. That in the end, if you don't deny what you're feeling inside as you learn, it will have an effect on you. But the reason that they get worse and worse is because they have to deny more and more. They're more and more in love. More and more. And they're stuck.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
So that is the same thing. The Gan Eden and Torah and this encompassing revelation of this internalized revelation of God is all the same thing. But the revealed light will only, the encompassing light will only be revealed in the future. כשיחיו המתים, שאז יראו עינינו גילוי אלוקותו הבלתי בעל גבול המקיף הנעל. This will only happen after the resurrection of the dead. Then our eyes, our physical eyes, will be able to see how this encompassing light that is keeping this alive, sustaining this as an object in the world, is godliness. Again, in the internalized light, there's no question, it's godliness. You like to call it godliness, you want to call it something else, call it whatever you want. Doesn't matter. It doesn't change the fact that when a person studies, learns Torah, they are now internalizing godliness, whether they like it or not. Because that's what it is. But this, I can't internalize. I just look at it. So where's it coming from? I don't know. I have no experience of this on the inside, only on the outside. That experience on the outside, to reveal that that is godliness, will only be after the resurrection of the dead. But before then, when I perform a mitzvah, I am revealing, encompassing light. I'm not revealing it in the sense that I understand it now, but now my soul embodied in a physical form is now capturing both. But again, I can't see that the tefillin that I'm putting on, if I could see like infrared or whatever I needed to see, some part of the spectrum that I can't see, I would see that the tefillin that I'm putting on, these are like a channel of light that comes down. I hope you understand what I'm saying, that if I close the book, I put it like this, and I don't think about anything in this book, I have stopped channeling internalized light. I don't have it. I mean, maybe I can think about it, right? I remember what I said, and so on. But without the words, if I take the words out of my head, I'm no longer any revelation of this internalized light. It's very clear when it's on or off. It's very clear. But with the object, there's no such on and off. It's here all the time. But that's the action. That's internalized light, meaning that you feel that you're doing something. But the money itself going, I don't see anything more or less. What's the difference? Money was in my pocket, now it's in here. What's the difference? Nothing happened to the money. I don't see any change.
Yeah, it's not in your pocket anymore.
That's like I could put it on the table. It's the same thing. It's not. It won't be in my pocket either.
And you don't regret that it's gone somewhere else.
So regret and all these things, these are internalized experiences. But the fact that the money is here or here or here or here makes no difference to me. Even when it goes into the stock, it's still the same money. Nothing happened to it.
Yeah, it became somebody else's. It became Hashem's.
That, everything you're saying about property, changing hands, these are all internalized lights. These are things that we have decided as a society that we want to have. That there's yours and there's mine. But really, the objects, they don't care. They don't know. They don't know the difference.
Wait, we give
what?
an animal.
Yeah.
We give an animal.
What's mine is yours.
What do you mean not Pirkei Avos? Pirkei Avos is society. What do you want? It's just Jewish society. What's the difference?
It's a shame.
What? Show me the difference. You put the coin in here. Show me what happened to the coin. Nothing.
It disappeared from your pocket, and it went into Hashem's pocket. You know where.
No, that's all in your mind.
Wait,
not,
we give something to Hektish.
Yeah.
There's a change.
No, there's no change. Take the coin, before and after. Put it into whatever kind of test you want in a laboratory. There's no difference.
The coin doesn't change.
Of course.
Our perception of
Our perception is internalized light. That's not the object itself. Nothing happens to the object. Nothing ever happens to objects, except that sometimes it disappears from reality altogether when we completely eradicate
we treat it differently, but that's again
right. But we treat it, that's us.
Yeah.
So you thinking that you put the coin in here and this somehow the space in here is holy or something, that's you. That's on you. That's not on the coin, and it's not on the box even. The box has nothing different to it. It's all you. This is all what we call internal. That's Torah telling you, oh, when I do this, it means that. But when I put the tefillin on, my hand does not change. Do whatever you want. Do whatever test you want. My hand's going to stay exactly the same. Anybody who's
You've got the marks on your arm.
said of it, it's like I would put anything else that would make marks on my arm. There's no difference. It's a physical reaction. That's all it is. There's nothing spiritual going on there. In other words, there is, but I can't see it, and I have no instrument that can see it.
This is sort of like you gave me the mushal where these men kept Shabbos when it wasn't Shabbos.
Right.
They had the experience.
Right, they had the
of
experience, but it's not Shabbos. Why? Because even Shabbos is a certain day of the week. It's a certain time span. So if you do it outside the time span, it's all subjective. But even that time span, when you keep Shabbos, it's still subjective. It's not like we're saying that somehow this time is different than this time. Take a watch. See if it measures time differently when you're in Shabbos or when you're on Sunday. It measures it exactly the same. There's no difference. The physical world acts exactly the same.
Depends on who's giving the drush.
That's a different problem, and that again goes into internalized light. Okay, but you have to keep these two categories completely straight. We cannot reveal the encompassing light in this world. We don't. What we mean, we can't reveal it. We see it. Here it is. It's sustaining this tzedakah box right now. What we mean is we can't see the connection between what is sustaining every object here and God. We don't see that.
You don't feel more Jewish.
Feel.
You feel more
Feel.
close to Hashem when you put on tefillin.
Feel. You keep using that word. Feel. Feel is internalized light. It's my subjective experience. And you're right. That's 100%. You're right. It's a true experience. It's not something that's wrong. But I can't see I can't measure it in the world. There's no way for me to figure out how to make an instrument that will tell me if the tefillin are kosher or not from the outside. Can't see it. I said it. That's what you said. There's no instrument like this. If there was, we'd make it. Why open the tefillin? What for? Because there's no difference. It doesn't matter to the physical world. Again, somebody will now reveal, and that's what he's saying, that when the resurrection of the dead happens, we will be in a different state. Now, you can already understand that they have to be linked. We have to end, but for the resurrection to even happen, it means that the direct connection between the physical and godliness has to be revealed. That is what the resurrection of the dead really means. People think about it as, the dead are going to come out of there like some kind of horror movie. It's got nothing to do with that. First of all, nobody knows what it's going to look like, and what does it mean that people are going to come back, and what in the world that means. Take that aside a second. Take aside the picture, the image you want to have. What it really means is that matter will be able to sustain itself indefinitely because its link to infinity will be revealed. That is really what resurrection of the dead is talking about. Matter will behave differently because its link to godliness, to God's infinite aspect, will be revealed. Right now, the link is not revealed, and that's why these things...
Is impossible to understand that. Correct? In a certain way? I don't know.
No, I want to show you that it is possible.
It is
Maybe
possible.
next time. Maybe next time we'll bring